Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. Today is the Daily Color. We are doing the special edition today in Magical Worlds. It is episode 301. This is the image that you guys all voted in a poll as of a couple days ago. The owl was in the lead, so that is what I set aside and worked on some pencils. To get started, we are using the Arrtx colored pencils. It's the 126 set. I have a problem with my clips denting the paper in this book, and the spine is very difficult for me to deal with. So I did get a suggestion from one of my subscribers, and she uses felt. So here we have one of my bigger clips, and then one side today is using the clip on the clipboard. So I have taken these felt, the only felt I found in the house. You would think as a crafter I would have more felt. These are some free coasters that I have had in my craft area for years, and I took the green one and chopped it up so that I can see. I think this is thicker and a little stiffer than craft, like kids craft felt that you might buy in the sheets. It feels firmer, but it's definitely cushy enough. So what I've done is, with one section, I have protected the paper under the big clip, and then on the other half I have one of these clips. And let's see if I can show you. Yeah, it's a long ways away. So that clip has a piece of green foam folded all the way around. So we'll see how that goes today. It is nighttime. It has been a crazy day as I'm prepping for a market that I'm going to sell cards, jewelry, and promote the coloring class. I do it every year. So I worked on that all day, and it is now dark because daylight savings time started. So it's weird. I'm in the back here in the recliner. We moved the recliners back down because I did a coloring session yesterday, and we colored down here, my friend and I, in the recliners. So that was very fun, because then we can look out. I have my floodlight in the back so that I can see nature go by, and I have a couple of fun stories to share with you. So we're going to get started. So first off, before I start chatting and lose track of time, I have browns and greens, and I'm going to focus on the foliage first. So I have actually 7 browns, but I'm going to focus right now on the trunk using 3. The barrels on these are not the best. The lettering is very difficult to read. So I have a cheat sheet here. I'm going to share with you my cheat sheet so you can see that I have had to write down all 7 numbers. So that because there's no way. Like, look at these little tiny numbers. I can almost read some of those just by the nature of the light. I have not tried to use these pencils since I have my new light system. So perhaps I will be able to read them. It's still teeny tiny though. So I am using the darkest. I say 6191, but I think it's 6101. So I might have to tweak this third from the lightest. And then I also have the very lightest, 5430. I wrote the numbers down with the pencils, so that's how I knew I had gotten which one was the lightest. Because again, the barrel colors for these pencils are not the best. So I will introduce more of the colors after I get the 3 light, medium, and dark down. I have chosen 5 greens. We will work on the greens. I'll share those in detail when the time comes. And then I did also pick lantern yellows, and did not write the numbers down, I see. And again, I'm going to have to write them down because the barrels are not the best. So let's just get started. I will have to be moving around. This is a very large image, and I want to make sure you can see what I am doing, so I don't want to get too far away. I might have to be sharpening these. They are quite soft. And I do want, the lanterns are going to cast light on the back of the owl's head, maybe as a tiny glow, and then his face is actually going to be quite dark, as what would happen if you had your light source behind your head rather than in front of you casting light on you. So we will play with that. And then it also means that the wood edge here of the branches, or the big branch, are going to be lightest. I might even start off leaving the very edge white. So I am going to start on the darkest side with the darkest color, which I can read is Van Dyke Brown, and going over to my sheet, I wrote 7150, but now that I'm looking at it in this light, it is 7180. I am going to fix that, because I will be referring to this. I do, if I doubt myself, I do have my swatch chart here. Let me get to the browns. Oh, I'm on the first page. The browns span 2 pages. Here is, it is 7180. Right there. Van Dyke Brown. So 7180. I'm just going to verify all 3 of these with you guys. 6101. Light Umber. And I wrote that down wrong. I wrote these down in different light up in the living room. I was experimenting with sitting in our couch. We do have a couch that sits behind these recliners. I really like the recliners down below a lot. It does mean that the environment down here in my craft space has always had a craft work table, a work surface for up to 5-6 people sitting. And it's out in the screen room, and I kind of like it here for this being more of a quiet time, sit down and relax space. So we will see what I'm going to be dreaming up to have that work. Lots of room up in the living room to have workspace, and our big dining room table also holds a lot of people. Okay, 6101, and then the lightest color, 5430. I did log that correctly. Okay. So the first tail, as I start with the darkest Van Dyke Brown, is that if you've watched my daily color for a while, a fawn was born on our trail, somewhere amidst the houses. The mom has a limp, and I suspect that she chose to give birth to her fawn on this side of the fence, because the fawn was too young to be able to cross the fence. She could cross the fence, but he was always stranded over here. Very often in the middle of the day, he would be, I say he because I know for sure it's a he now, so he would hang out with me, and I could just, we have plexiglass between us, my black back screen windows are Plex, and I could see him, and we would hang out. I would even open the door and tell him hi, so he's used to me opening the door. I move quite slow so I don't startle him, and he was literally little white spot fawn, teeny tiny. You would even go on the trail and he would be across the trail on the other side, like hiding, curled up, taking a nap at the base of a tree. And he would live anywhere along the houses, but always in the afternoon he and his mom would come here before dark and would graze. And so I had all sorts of pictures of him in his different stages of life. Then maybe August-ish, he stopped coming around, and mom, he got bigger and his spots were going away. I did not know at the time if it was a he or a she. And he is back, and he's got two little baby antlers growing, and he no longer has mom. I don't see mom at all, but he grazes Probably the reason why I haven't seen him is he's now here in the mornings and then the late afternoons sometimes, but I have been getting up extra early so I get to see him. I open the door, he will stop grazing and he will look at me and I will tell him hello, have a good day, and then he will just go back to grazing again. He won't run from people because he was raised on the trail. So people walking, he will stop and look at them. And if they're being really noisy, he'll kind of move away from them. But he's just giving them their space and keeping his own comfortable space. Golf carts, he will bound by with a golf cart and kind of stay clear of them. And bikes go by pretty quickly too. And so he will bound away, but he is very much raised with people. So I was very proud to see that he has got his prongs. His mom now, I don't think she hangs out with him anymore. I have not seen her at all. So that is my first fun tale of the day. My card making for the market is going well. And tomorrow is setup time. I've probably told everybody that tomorrow is also paper signing and move-in day for my mom. And the exciting tale about that is, first off, they are literally right, 10 houses away from me. So this afternoon, they went to the mailbox. I had given my mom my mail key, so, they have a lot of stuff getting mailed. And we don't get as much mail. We're kind of over that stage. And she's just ordering a lot of stuff and this and that. And so they had a package that they needed to pick up for her husband. And off they went. Next thing you know, I had somebody here to pick up some cards that they'd ordered. So I was busy. And I overheard a little bit of my mom sharing with my husband that they drove to the house. They were sitting in the driveway and they decided, let's just wander around to the back. So they wander around to the back. They sit down in the furniture, which they did not know was going to be left. And they don't have anything like that. So they were very pleased that I think the previous owner had said, well, we'll leave a couple of pieces for you. And the previous owner, because the papers aren't signed till tomorrow, he pops around, he sees them and says, oh, don't get up, don't worry, we're just grabbing a last couple of plants. So as it is, tomorrow morning they were supposed to sign first thing and then come back and get the tour and walkthrough of how to use all of the systems, which is really funny because we've bought and sold a lot of properties and we never get a tour of how. Usually what we're inheriting just isn't the kind of property that we're going to have these caring owners that teach us how systems work. In some places we've bought didn't come with anything and we had to buy it all. So they got to see how all of their ins and outs worked and get the code to get through the system to get the garage doors open. And I just think that is so funny that they're just like kids and they're so excited and they couldn't wait until the morning. And now they're going to go sign the papers, but they basically already, they could technically, I think they've already paid for it. But I don't think the wire will get funded until tomorrow. So they're not going to stay there tonight. So they will be sleeping there tomorrow night. But here is the not so fun. That's the fun story. So they actually used, this Van Dyke Brown is very dark, isn't it? And I hope that you guys can see everything because I keep forgetting. I get very engrossed in what I am doing. So I can't rotate the book. I have to rotate the whole clipboard. So let's do that. Like I said, I'll get these 3 color tones in and then add more colors. And I probably won't let myself go too long because it has been a super long day and I want to get this loaded because it's pretty late. So the idea was that tomorrow the pods with all of their belongings were going to get delivered. And my mom thought it was pretty strange that they didn't get a phone call from the company. And I will tell you what company it is so you can avoid them. It is U-Haul. They had a very, very good experience with U-Haul in Washington State. But evidently along the way, we emptied our pod that was shipped with their pods when it first came, like the first weekend. We went there, emptied it out. We told them, here is the pod that has been emptied. What happened is the manager changed the order for this to be a customer will pick up. And so we're going to empty it. And that's only me. I'm the only one that was going to empty my one pod. The rest of them were to be delivered. So when my mother called to get the order for them to be delivered, first off they said, "Oh, well, we don't have your pods here anymore." She had just been there 2 days before to get some stuff out of her pods, and they were there. So I'm going to go to the lightest now. I still have this whole front of the owl. Maybe we'll do that. So we'll go back to the darkest. We'll be consistent. Many hours later on the phone, she finds out that the manager had changed something, and they had delivered them 52 miles away from like 8 miles away. They were going to charge her an extra $400. So she'd been told that everything was going to be delivered and that it was going to cost her extra money. And she's like, I did not tell you to move them from 9 miles away to 52 miles away. Today she called and says, "Hey, I haven't heard from you guys. You're going to be shipping us our pods tomorrow after 12 noon. And the dispatcher says, "No, I'm not. These are slated to be picked up by you." And so there was this big fiasco about that. And they couldn't find the pods again. They're supposedly in Palm Bay. And the funny thing is that we bought AirTags for all of our pods. So all of those pods, we know they're in Palm Bay, but they can't find them. Somehow in their system, they're not logged. So my mom's like, they better be finding them. So the final consensus is they will be delivered on Saturday, because you have to create the order like a day in advance, and there's nothing this dispatcher can do now. So needless to say, my mom is not ever going to recommend U-Haul pod delivery services to anyone. And it's really too bad, because they actually are very nice pods, and you get lots of these 25 blankets to blanket everything and protect them. And so my husband and I, we had a pretty good experience. So my husband was, we have a big truck, so he's like, "Well, where is Palm Bay?" I'm like, "That's the town south of Melbourne. That's like an hour away for us. So there's no way we're going to be able to go and pick up all the pods. There's large items, giant toolboxes, and things, big things that are big and heavy, that are not going to be easy to just lift. That's why we got the pods, so they could be dropped off right out front and emptied cleanly and efficiently. So my mom is not very pleased. And that is, that's all of my stories for today. I still can't believe that they got caught sitting in the backyard of their new home. So for my mom, when she sold her home, the people who bought it asked if they could stay there, because down below is where Hub and I stayed each summer in our trailer, and we put in first a 30 amp because our first trailer was a 30 amp. The second trailer was a 50 amp. Okay, I'm gonna move again to grab and color this branch. And so my mom let them live there. They were only there a few days a week. I think their young daughter was signed up for preschool or some kind of maybe kindergarten, 3 days a week, in preparation for the move because of the time of the year. They had to get, I think they closed September 9th, right after school started. So my mom was happy to accommodate them. So my mom had given them, and this is a 5-acre farm that came with, big equipment like a tractor, and my mom showed them how to use the tractor and the riding lawnmowers and all of that stuff. So the people were pretty well ready to move in by the time the house closed. And she got to know the new owners really well. And so these owners have done really well at accommodating my parents. And they're so close to the house. They're right there. They can see when the owners drive by with a load of furniture. The sellers are moving, or did move, to another house in this community. Mostly once you move here, it's a very unique living situation, and people will move from maybe an RV pad to a park model, then to a stick home, to a bigger stick home. So you see there's a lot of moving around. People have lived here for 23 years and moved 4 times. And these people who promised when they moved here that they were never ever going to move again, that this was their final home, then here they are moving 5 years later. Hub and I, when we moved, we did the same thing. We were going to buy an RV site. Then we were going to get a bigger, like a suite with a port. Still an RV where you live in your RV. And eventually, before we even bought anything, we ended up with a stick home, a very small one. We call it the bungalow. Everything still looks focused. I want to warm up my colors already. So I'm going to still do this lightest tone, almost all the way out. It can be darker here, and it will be darker under here as well. I feel that these on this smooth paper are more layering than waxy, even though I believe they are known to be like a Prismacolor dupe. They are nowhere near as soft as a Prismacolor. But I like to layer, so I am happy with them and how they work. Love them a lot. Wish the barrels were a better match, but I'm getting used to having to keep track of the colors not by the barrels. These little holes, this one and this one, are very cute. I really like them. So though I'm doing the farther away as if it had reflective light, I will be coming back through and darkening these up. I was very surprised. I actually, and you probably didn't see this last little bit. Sorry about that. I have to remember that my big half circle of branches, you can't see the whole thing. I could only find one finished page using Google Lens. If you have not used Google Lens, I highly recommend it. It is a great tool. I use it for all sorts of shopping, and I have been using it for coloring page ideas. It's very handy. So if I want to keep the sort of linear nature of a branch. I want to do longer ovals. I just there am correcting myself because I was doing smaller ovals. So I kind of want to make them long. I can even draw them this way because of these little lines for the shadow lines. I can like follow them if I want and do some dark little shadowy bits. And then here are these other, you know, kind of making it look like a vine, a viney wrapped type of a branch. You can see my layers are building up pretty quickly. It's starting to get ready to burnish itself. So I'm going to lighten my pressure. I'm not really ready. I want to add more color. I have a special color that's off to the side. This 6950 is my warmish tone. These are all fairly cool. And so I am going to be using 6950 Sienna Brown. Oh, in fact, it's not 6950. Wow. It says 6080. $61.80. Might have to look on my cheat sheet. Let's see what it tells me Sienna Brown is. 60.80. Huh. I have to correct that too. Every one of these is wrong. All right, so that's my warm tone. And oops. See, this is why I didn't want to burnish this. I want to get some of this warm tone going. I have not decided if I want my owl to be fantasy colored or pick an owl, a real owl color scheme, and color it as if it is a real type of owl. I'll just have to see what I feel like when I get to that point. So this does not have a strong light source. I'm going to slowly get rid of this. This white streak will eventually fill in. All right, I've warmed this up. I'm going to move to the next section, and that'll be my reference for the tone that I am after. If I want any sharp lines after I get some tones going, I'll have to sharpen up a couple of these to add some detail. Let's see, I like that warm tone that the 6080 adds. And all of this needs to be pretty dark. Not a lot of light here. All right, that's looking pretty good. Okay, moving up. And I'm going to rotate. I would like to not, I don't have any glassine with me, and I'd like to not have my hand right on this area, so I'm gonna slip my hand in through the hook area where the owl is. I'm gonna grab that 6080, which is the warm tone. Warm everything up. That Van Dyke brown is a very stark color. Make sure we're focused. Notice my sharp point is already pretty much gone, so I'm going to sharpen it. I am just going to transition each leaf. These stems of the leaves are going to maybe be greenish brown, but I'm not sure yet, so I'm going to just leave them uncolored for the moment. So like right there is where my transition is going to be to the leaf stem, leaf stem. Okay, that's looking really good. I'm really glad I pulled this. I would have had to be pulling something warm if I didn't already have it out. All right. Moving right along. So I have some more whips that I've started this week, which is fun because I haven't done a coloring plans for the month like I did last month, where I sought out a couple of fun Halloween and fall with pumpkins and printed out pages. This month is Thanksgiving, so it is going to be harvesty images, and then I've only printed one. It is a Teresa Goodrich one of a door. We'll see if I print out anything else to try to finish. I know that it is going to be hectic and busy. We're already on the 7th, and I have what I've started as whips are related to the coloring groups, so I will probably, I'm glad I did not pre-pick a bunch out, because I don't think I'll have a lot of free time. And then we have Thanksgiving in there. And And we are hosting. We have always traditionally in my family. My husband is a cook. He enjoys it. I enjoy hostessing, and always had a giant spread. We had the biggest area in our home to have everybody sitting together. As a child growing up, the kids in the houses, like when I was little, it was like Thanksgiving at Grandma's house. And we actually went to both Grandma's house. We went to one at one point in the day, and then we usually would spend dinner at the other Grandma's house for a total of 2 meals. And the one grandma, it was smaller, less people, and so we would sit at the table. The other grandma's house was TV trays, sitting at the table. There was like 3 different areas that people ate, so it wasn't like a sit down. Oh, and it was like buffet. You go pick what you want, put it on your plate, and sit wherever you want. So by the time I was an adult, it was very important to me that everybody sits together. So it was either in our computer area, which actually is connected to the kitchen, or down in the living room, 3 tables, 22 to 25 people, and everybody sat together and we said grace, and it was the way I had always wished that it was when I was little. So now we have my parents, and they will come here. They're not even going to have all their stuff by that time. They don't even own a table yet. She hasn't figured out what she would like. All right, going back to the middle tone that isn't as red, which is light umber 6101. I'm going to double check that. Yep, 6101. And I'm looking at what we've got. And it looks pretty good. I'm leaving a little bit of the white. I have switched to the lightest on you without telling you. 5430. Yes, that is the lightest color. Now I am sort of coloring in the horizontal, sort of the angles that I see these lines. Going in pretty close to the inner line. We'll see what I'm going to do with the glow. It might be a soft yellow. I don't think it will be staying white. I think you can all still see. I'm going to go ahead and let these white lines be colored. It's just a very indirect light along the side branches. There you go. I get a little bit of the resist I see where I have to really burnish along the black to fill in all of the tooth. That's pretty common in these books. All right. Again, I like to burnish with the lightest color, and this is my lightest color. Oh, and you couldn't see that. So I'm just going through burnishing, looking at the tooth, trying to eliminate it. All right. I can do a few leaves, get some leaves started here. Setting those four aside, I still have 3 more browns. I won't have them on the description, but it is very possible I will incorporate them later. I do have 5 greens. Oh, we're at 40 minutes, so I'm just going to do a couple of leaves. I don't want to go longer than 45, and I'm going to use these 4 greens. All right, let's see if I've got it correct. As best I can. I almost should have written the names down. I think I did it. So, light to dark. I have the lightest one is chartreuse. Chartreuse? Yes, and it's off to the side. I don't think I'm going to use it today. I will leave some areas white. 5099. 5111. Oh, 5099. Yes, apple green, pea green, olive green 5421. Yep. And dark green 5511. And I am just going to come down here and pick a few of these leaves. We'll just do a couple. Starting with the darkest. I kind of like that. And this I should have gone lower and done this. These feel very nice. I'll do this leaf. There's all these, each of the leaves have a variety of little lines and dashes and folds, so it is going to be fun to determine how I'm going to shape and color each of these leaves. Everybody knows, if you don't know, green is my favorite color, so leaves are a favorite thing to color. I love how many different tones there are in the greens versus other colors. Moving on to olive green. And I do see a 4th little tiny leaf that I could work on with these 4. I'm going to grab the darkest again to start this little baby leaf. Back to 5421. This is the olive green. Moving to, I think it's pea. Yep, pea green 5111. I think that's too light. I'm going to go back to olive. already being able to go with heavy pressure. These layer up pretty quickly. Going to the darkest green. These are probably going to be the darkest of all of the leaves, and maybe the outermost leaves will be almost this dark. And I am leaving the tip of that one on the upper right, and upper left, and the upper left of the second one, but the owl should be blocking the light from getting to these 4 leaves. So that is my plan. Lightest green. Apple 5099. Not very sharp. It looks like Hub is up. I hear him stirring. So I am going to call this one finished. So do all of the YouTube things, like, share, comment, consider subscribing. Thank you all for joining me today. Welcome back if you are returning. I'm going to continue this tomorrow at some point, hopefully earlier in the day than later. I might actually try to get this done earlier so that I don't have to be doing this in the dark. I kind of like coloring in the light. I hope to see you all there.